Hi, my name is Alex. I'm really glad you're here on my channel. Today, we've got a powerful story. It's called She Had an Affair with My Best Friend. Now, they both want my forgiveness. Let's begin.
They were the two people I trusted the most. My wife, my best friend. I would have died for either of them. Instead, they killed something inside me. And now, after all the lies, all the silence, all the damage, they want me to forgive them. Let me tell you how that went.
Some people are born with brothers. I chose mine. His name was Darren. We met in junior high. He was loud, reckless, but loyal, in a way most people only pretend to be. We got in trouble together, fought kids twice our size, shared detention slips and bad report cards. He stood up for me when nobody else did. By the time we were in our 20s, he was family, not just in words. He came to every birthday, helped me move into every apartment, called my mom Ma, and brought her flowers on holidays. And when I got married, he stood right beside me, my best man. He even cried when he gave his toast, said I was the only real brother he ever had. Everyone clapped. My wife smiled. I believed every word. We stayed close after the wedding. Barbecues, football Sundays, game nights that turned into early mornings. He was always around, sometimes more than I was. He'd stop by to drop off beer, fix something in the garage, hang out with my wife while I was stuck at work. And you know what? I never questioned it, because I trusted him, because he was Darren, my brother. It never crossed my mind that the person who stood next to me at the altar could also be the one to tear everything apart. If there were signs, I missed them. Or maybe I just refused to see them. Because when you love someone, when you love two people deeply, you don't let your brain go there. You just don't. So I didn't. I went on with life, working hard, trying to build something good, coming home to the people I cared about most. I thought I had the rare kind of luck you hear about in stories. A loyal friend, a loving wife, a simple, honest life. I didn't know I was living in a story, all right, just not the one I thought I was writing. It would be months before the truth came out, but when it did, it hit like a punch I never saw coming.
I met her when I was 23. Claire. She worked at the coffee shop down the street from my first job. I came in every morning, ordered the same thing, black coffee, 2 sugars, and she always had it ready before I even reached the counter. She smiled like she knew something the rest of the world didn't. Like life was a joke only she was in on. It drove me crazy, and I loved it. I asked her out 3 weeks later. She said no, then said yes. I took her to a terrible Italian place with plastic tablecloths and too much garlic. She laughed the entire time. I think that's when I knew. We were opposites in all the right ways. She slowed me down, taught me how to breathe, taught me how to notice things. And when I introduced her to Darren, well, they clicked instantly. Too instantly, maybe. They teased each other, laughed a little too long at inside jokes. But I didn't think much of it. I mean, they were just friendly. Right? We got married 2 years later. Small ceremony, backyard lights, my mom crying during the vows. Darren stood beside me again, just like always. He gave another emotional toast, said Claire made me softer, and that was a good thing. I remember looking at them that night. Her in that white dress, him in that rented tux, and thinking, man, I'm lucky. We built a life. A real one. Early mornings, late dinners, bills, laundry, little weekend trips when we could afford them. I was working long hours, trying to move up, trying to give us more. And she was always there, waiting with dinner, or a note on the fridge when she worked late. We had a rhythm. We were a team. And I never, not once, thought that team would fall apart. I thought she was my world, the center of everything. And I treated her that way. Birthdays, anniversaries, random flowers just because. I remembered every detail. The song she hated, the wine she liked, the way she fell asleep with her hair tied up, then woke up with it wild. To me, Claire wasn't just my wife. She was my home, my safe place. The reason I worked as hard as I did. I'd come home after a 12-hour shift, exhausted, and one look from her made it worth it. Or so I thought. Because the truth was, while I was busy building our future, she was already slipping away.
Looking back now, the signs were there. Not all at once, not loud, not obvious. Just little things, quiet moments that felt off. Like the way she started locking her phone. We never really hid things from each other before. Her screen would light up, and she'd flip it face down like it was instinct. Or how she started working late more often. Meetings, inventory, just catching up. She always had a reason, a good one, too. And I believed her, because I wanted to. Then there were the times Darren would stop by, even when I wasn't home. At first it felt normal. He'd done that for years. But then I noticed he never stayed long when I walked in. Always had somewhere to be. Always looked twitchy. I brushed it off. Told myself I was just tired, just overthinking. There was a night. I'll never forget it. I came home earlier than usual. She wasn't expecting me. She and Darren were in the kitchen, laughing, like belly laughing at something on her phone. They both froze when they saw me. Just for a second. Then Claire smiled and said, "Oh, hey babe, Darren was just showing me a meme." I smiled back and told myself I was being ridiculous. But my stomach felt cold, like I walked into something I wasn't supposed to see. Still, I didn't say a word. Because to say something, to accuse them, would make it real. And I wasn't ready for real. There were other things too, subtle shifts. She stopped asking about my day, stopped making jokes at dinner. And when we were in bed,
It felt like her body was there, but her mind was miles away. I started staying later at work, not because I had to, but because it was easier than coming home to a silence that used to feel like comfort, but now felt like a wall. One night, I asked her. I actually said the words, "Is everything okay between us?" She smiled, said she was just stressed, that work was overwhelming. She kissed me, told me she loved me, and I believed her. God help me. I believed her because I wanted my life to be what it was, not what it was becoming. You don't see betrayal when you're standing inside it, not always. Sometimes it looks like routine, like familiarity, like the people you'd trust with your whole damn soul, smiling at you over dinner. And I kept smiling back because denial was easier than destruction. Until it wasn't.
It was a Tuesday night. Funny how the worst nights never come with warning. I stayed late at work again. Didn't call, didn't text. I figured I'd surprise her. Maybe grab dinner on the way home. Try to break the weird tension between us. The house was dark when I pulled in. No lights, no TV sounds, just silence. But her car was there. So was Darren's truck. My heart, it didn't race. It just stopped. Like my body already knew what my mind didn't want to believe. I opened the door slowly. Didn't make a sound. Something about it felt wrong. Sacred. Like I was about to step into a truth I could never unsee. There were voices upstairs. Low. Breathless. And a laugh. Her laugh. That laugh I loved. The one I used to think was mine. I didn't go up right away. I stood there. Hand on the railing. Frozen. And then something in me just broke. And I climbed the stairs. One step at a time. Like I was walking toward a funeral. I opened the door. And there they were. My wife, my best friend, our bed. They didn't scream, didn't panic. They just stared, like they were caught in a dream they hadn't planned on ending. Claire sat up, pulled the blanket around her. Her face went pale, eyes wide. Darren didn't even speak. Just looked down like a child caught doing something shameful. I didn't yell, didn't curse, didn't throw a punch. I just said, "Really?" Claire opened her mouth, then closed it, like there was no script for this. No words that would make it not true. I turned around, walked down those stairs, out the door, got in my car, and drove. I don't remember where. Gas station, maybe. Parking lot. Doesn't matter. I sat there for hours, didn't cry, didn't scream, just stared out the windshield, hands gripping the steering wheel like it was the only thing keeping me upright. I kept thinking, how long? When did it start? Was it always like this? Was I ever enough? The world didn't feel real. It was like watching someone else's life fall apart. But it was mine. My house, my wife, my friend, my bed. and they burned it all. That night changed everything. Not just my marriage, not just my friendship. It changed me. Because once you see the truth, once it's that naked, that raw, you can't go back. You can only move forward. If you're strong enough, if you survive it.
I didn't go home for 3 days. Didn't answer texts. Didn't check voicemails. I stayed at a cheap motel on the edge of town. One of those places with buzzing lights and curtains that never quite close. I didn't sleep much. Mostly just sat on the bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to understand what the hell had just happened. The hardest part wasn't the betrayal. It was the silence. After everything, after years of love, loyalty, friendship, they didn't chase me, didn't come knocking, like they were relieved I'd found out, like the lie was heavier than the truth, and I was the only one still carrying it. I kept replaying it in my head, the look on her face, the way Darren wouldn't meet my eyes, the sound of my own footsteps walking out. I thought I'd feel rage, but mostly I just felt empty. Like someone had scooped my insides out and left the shell standing. The motel rooms smelled like bleach and sadness. I ate stale vending machines snacks, didn't shower, didn't care. I stared at my phone, wondering if I should call someone, my mom, my brother. But what do you even say? Hey, remember my perfect life? Turns out it was a joke. The shame was unbearable, not just because of what they did, but because I didn't see it, because I trusted them so blindly, because I let it happen right under my nose. I kept asking myself, was I too boring, too distant? Did I miss some warning signs? Was I so focused on work, on paying bills, on providing, that I stopped being someone she could love? And Darren? How do you even begin to process that? He knew everything. My fears, my doubts, my dreams. And he used it all to crawl into my life and take what wasn't his. Or maybe it was never mine to begin with. By the 3rd day, I looked in the mirror and barely recognized the man staring back. Unshaven, eyes sunken, like someone had aged me 10 years overnight. But beneath all that grief, there was something else. Something small, something dangerous. Anger. Not the kind that makes you throw punches, the kind that sits deep in your gut and starts to harden. I knew I couldn't stay in that motel room forever. Couldn't hide from what happened, couldn't erase it. But I could do something else. I could rebuild. Not for her, not for him, for me. Because if they could throw me away that easily, then maybe I needed to become someone they'd never be able to reach again. Someone stronger, sharper, better. Not to get even, not to win, just to live. Really live. For the first damn time in years. And that's where everything started to change.
The day I left that motel, I didn't feel fixed. I wasn't healed, but I was done sitting in the wreckage. I drove home, not to see her, not to talk, just to get what was mine. I packed a bag, some clothes, my tools, the old photo of my dad that sat on my desk. She was there, Claire, standing in the hallway like a ghost in her own life. She opened her mouth, but I raised my hand. Didn't want to hear it. Not yet. Not ever, maybe. I told her I'd send someone for the rest, and I walked out. That was the real beginning. I crashed on my brother's couch for a while, got back into the gym, started eating real food again. Went to work, didn't miss a day. The guys could tell something was off. They didn't ask, but one night after a shift, my foreman pulled me aside. Said there was a position opening up, a lead. More pay, more hours, more pressure. I said yes before he finished the sentence, because I needed that. A purpose, a climb. The next few months were a blur of motion. Early mornings, late nights, blisters, sweat, but I didn't mind. For the first time in a long time, I was building something for me. Not for Claire, not for appearances, not to keep a family image together. Just for me. I got my own place. Small, simple, mine. I bought secondhand furniture, cooked my own meals, sat in silence some nights, not because I was sad, but because peace doesn't always come with noise. There were bad days, nights I'd stare at the ceiling and feel the weight of it all. But there were also good ones, days I laughed, days I forgot. I didn't date, didn't even try. I needed to know who I was without her, without them. And slowly, inch by inch, I remembered. I remembered the man I was before the betrayal, and I started to like him again. He was stronger than I gave him credit for, quieter, but tougher. And he sure as hell didn't need anyone who could throw him away like trash. That climb wasn't fast. It wasn't pretty. But it was mine. And every step away from them was a step closer to something better. Not revenge, not justice. Just freedom.
It had been almost 6 months. Half a year of silence, of no contact. Then, one Friday night, she knocked on my door. Claire. I didn't expect her. Didn't even recognize her at first. She looked tired, older, not in years, in weight, like the guilt had settled in her bones. I opened the door, stood there a moment, and she said my name, softly, like it still meant something. Can we talk? I stepped aside, let her in. She walked into my small apartment like it was a museum, touched the table, looked at the photo on the shelf, nodded. You did this all yourself? I said yes. She sat down on the couch, hands shaking a little. I've been thinking, she said, about everything. She tried to explain, tried to tell me it was a mistake, that she didn't know why she did it, that she missed me, that she missed us. I just listened. Let her get it out. Then she started crying. Quiet at first, then harder. She said Darren left her, that he'd been distant ever since I found out, that it didn't last, that it never felt right.
that it wasn't worth what she lost. I didn't say much. Just let the silence sit between us. When she finally stopped crying, she looked up and asked, "Do you think you could ever forgive me?" I took a deep breath, looked her in the eyes, and I said, "I already did." She blinked, surprised, hopeful. But I wasn't done. I forgave you for me, so I could sleep, so I could heal, so I could move on. She looked confused. "So that means we can try again?" I shook my head. "No. It means I don't hate you. But we're done. That version of us, it died the night you made your choice." She sat there, still, like her whole world was falling again. And I didn't feel angry or satisfied or anything dramatic. I just felt clear. She left a few minutes later. Didn't say goodbye. The next day, Darren texted me. Said he wanted to meet. Said he felt awful. I didn't reply. Some doors stay closed. Some people never get back in. And that's not revenge. That's peace. Real peace comes when you stop needing an apology to feel whole again. And I was whole. For the first time in a long, long time.
People think betrayal breaks you, and it does, at first. But it also shows you who you really are when there's nothing left to pretend. It's been almost a year now. The pain isn't sharp anymore. It's just quiet, like an old scar. Still there, but no longer bleeding. Claire and I don't talk. Not anymore. No texts, no calls. She sent a letter once, handwritten, full of memories and regrets. I didn't read it. I didn't need to. Some things don't have to be reopened to be closed. Darren moved to another city, I heard. Good. We're not enemies, but we're not friends. Never will be. I got promoted again at work. Now I manage the entire crew. The guys respect me, not because I bark orders, but because they see how I carry myself. And maybe that's the biggest change. I carry myself different now. Back then, I needed people to like me, to need me, to see me as the good guy. Now, I just need to like the man in the mirror. And I do. I go fishing on weekends, cook my own dinners, listen to old vinyl. I started journaling, something I never thought I'd do. Turns out, putting pain into words helps take it out of your chest. I even went on a few dates. Nothing serious, just coffee, laughter, a reminder that life moves on. And so do I. I don't trust easily now, but that's okay. It means when I do, it's real. The truth is, if you'd told me a year ago that I'd lose my wife and my best friend in the same breath,
I would have said I couldn't survive it. But I did. Not by fighting, not by screaming, but by walking away and choosing myself every single day after that. That's what healing is. It's not some big dramatic moment where everything clicks. It's brushing your teeth, even when you feel like hell. It's going to work, even when your chest feels hollow. It's choosing not to call when you know the silence says more. It's small and slow and real. I'm not the man I was, and I'm glad. Because the man I am now knows his worth, knows his limits, knows that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means freeing yourself. So if you're sitting in the wreckage, wondering how the hell you'll get through it, you will. One day at a time. One choice at a time. And one day, you'll wake up, look in the mirror, and realize you didn't just survive it. You built something better out of everything they tried to destroy.